I work in actually in two departments, the Department of Orthopaedic Surgery and the Department of Cell Biology. My formal training is in biophysics. My Ph.D. is in biophysics, and I also have a degree in law. When I was a graduate student in studying physics at Syracuse University in New York, I learned about some very innovative and exciting research being done by an orthopedic surgeon to test ideas about the role of electrical energy in the body. I interviewed with him and began working in his lab, and that's where I performed my research for my dissertation, for my Ph.D., and I've worked in that area ever since. Perhaps the most important kind of knowledge we have is a deeper appreciation than has ever existed before regarding the fact that the living organism, something that's alive, is alive because of electrical properties of the body. Electricity essentially is the factor that allows living things to do what they do, the laws of electricity. And we realize that now, and we also realize that that there's a danger associated with sometimes forgetting the fact that a human being, for example, is an electrical animal. When we expose ourselves to man-made electrical signals and don't think about the consequences for health, we make a serious mistake. It's that appreciation, I think, that's the single most important thing. It's a form of energy. It's something real, something measurable, and in the context of a mobile phone, for example, it is the means by which the handheld telephone is able to communicate with a base station perhaps 20 kilometers away. The electrical signal is something that comes out of the cell phone and goes in two directions. One direction is toward the base station, and the other direction is toward the user's head. And that's the basis of concern about health consequences. It's not difficult. It's something routine. Before electrical devices ever appear in society as cell telephones or high voltage power lines or any other electrical device, they are always created in a laboratory environment, and their function is studied. The question really is, the answer really is that it's not difficult at all. It's just done routinely. It's difficult to provide a laundry list. It's like saying, the question is roughly equivalent to asking me, what can you do with sound, or what are the consequences of light? The simple fact is that electromagnetic fields, man-made fields, are perceived by the body, and as a result of this perception, this detection, an almost infinite variety of changes can occur in the body depending on other factors, the subject's genetic predisposition, other stimuli that are in the environment, and so forth. You can take many different kinds of measurements and find that they are affected by the presence of the field, just as you can imagine many different consequences can occur when somebody is presented with light or sound or some other stimulus. The experiments that I've been doing go back to the first ones were the first ones with animals were around 1970. So we've measured many different things. The growth rate of animals, stressor hormones in the blood. Many different things were measured in an attempt to begin to make sense of how these electrical signals affected the body. Now, at this point in my career, the focus is on brain waves, how external electrical signals affect the way the human brain works. But that's the end of a long line of research that goes back almost 40 years. The thing to be explained is, at least in my view, is how it can be that a human being who's exposed to electrical signals, a high voltage power line, a mobile phone, for example, over a long period of time, is more likely to develop disease than that person would be if the exposure weren't there. That's the thing to be explained. Now, an explanation for that involves some understanding of how the electrical signal gets into the body, how the body reacts to the presence of that signal, and how that reaction ultimately leads to disease. 3 separate steps. The work that I do now mostly focuses on the first 2 steps, how the energy gets in and how the body reacts. It doesn't deal with the latter stage because that's for other folks to do.